live? I was about to ask, why are we not live?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Workbench Wednesday. This is a special night. My daughter, Chloe, my oldest daughter, is making her on-screen camera debut. She's been helping us out behind the camera for the last several of these episodes, and has been a huge help there. She's been very anxious to teach everybody how to do painting of figures. And so this is an opportunity for her to get in here and show her talents a little bit. And I think, before, as people are starting to tune in, this is one of the fun aspects of this hobby, is that it's something we get to share as a family. It's not just something that we do by ourselves. It's something we can share with friends, something we can share with family. It's something that kids can enjoy of all ages. Both of my girls have had fun with doing different projects on layouts with me in the past, and you learn a lot doing it. I came up doing it when I was a kid, and it's fun seeing them pick it up here and there as well. So to everybody out there who's had the pleasure of sharing the hobby with kids, whether they're your own kids or working with a Cub Scout group or a club or volunteering at a museum or whatnot, it's a really rewarding experience, and highly encourage you to take that opportunity whenever you get the chance. So having said all that, tonight's topic is going to be figure painting, and this is this can actually become a sort of a whole hobby into itself. And there are modelers who specialize in doing nothing but painting people, and you can get really detailed about it and spend hours and hours painting a single figure. We're not going to do that tonight for a couple of reasons. One, the scale that we work in, whether it's O gauge or HO or N, typically our modeling scales are smaller to the point where the detail isn't quite as intricate on these. And also, most of us our main hobby is building the model railroad. So the figures are a tremendously important part of that hobby because they bring things to life, literally. A couple of figures in a scene can totally transform your railroad and give it a much more lively and interesting and realistic appearance. But they're just one part of it. And if you spend hours and hours on each little figure, you're not going to build a large layout. So it's a matter of balancing time and energy. And of course, you can buy figures pre-painted, and I think all of us do that at some point. But there's an advantage to painting some of your own. One of them, of course, is cost. It's much cheaper to buy these molded plastic figures and paint them yourself. And the other is you can customize them. You can do things with them to make them your own and unique, just like we've been doing with structure kits or weathering a freight car or building any of the other parts of your scenery. When you start with an unpainted figure, you have the opportunity to customize. And some of that can be done with paint. Some of what you're going to see tonight, you can also cut and bend and modify them in different ways to pose them for different things and get new uses out of them. So it is a fun little hobby within the hobby. The figures we're going to be working with tonight, we've got a couple of different sets here. Lionel has sets of unpainted figures available in both O and HO. Let me get the right part numbers here for you so I don't screw that up. For the O scale figures, the set we're going to be working with is set number 1930310. And with that, you get about, I think about 4 dozen of these unpainted O gauge figures. If you want to do some animals in O gauge, we also have 1930300, and that gets you a nice assortment of cows and horses and that sort of thing. And if you're just starting painting animals, these are a little easier to do, a little less intimidating than some of the figures. There's less detail there, so it's a good place to start. For the HO guys out there, 1967100, 1967100 will get you a good assortment of molded plastic HO figures to start with. And all of these can be painted and done. And a lot of times if I'm doing these, I'll do them in a batch so that you can get a bunch knocked out at once. Or I'll just wait until I have a specific project that I'm working on that needs a figure and rummage around and find one that I like and start from there. So Chloe, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
You're going to do, which one are you going to work on tonight? You're going to keep working on your...
This one.
All right. So Chloe's got one of our O gauge figures. And first tip of doing this, you'll see what we've done there. When you're painting a figure, one of the hardest parts of this is you're constantly turning it around and trying to get different angles and so forth. And as you're painting, you don't want to be sticking your hands in the wet paint. So, quick modeler's tip here. A wine cork makes a great figure holder. And to hold them on there, you can use some sticky tack. You can get this at art supply stores, craft stores. It's teachers love this thing. We got some of this from my wife's school here to get us going tonight.
Shout out
just
to Mom.
press that on there, and then it's just a simple matter of pressing your figure into the top of the cork, and now you've got a very handy handle on this to paint everything. Another option, if you don't have the sticky tack, I've done this to a few of our figures already to make it easier to paint, and that is you can put a small pin in the foot, in the base of your figure. You can probably see it on there. And all I did for that was take a little piece of wire and a small drill bit in my pin vise and drill a small hole in the foot, a little bit of glue on the wire, press the wire in there and snip it off. And now stick him right in there into the end of the cork like that. Works very easily. And then there's an added advantage when you go to put him on your layout. If you've got soft scenery, you can plug him right into the scene as well. So easy to pick these up and move them around. You don't have to glue them down to the scenery. So very easy modification. If you use a small enough wire and drill, you can get them into the foot of an HO scale figure as well. Or just use the sticky tack, either way. All right, so Chloe's going to start on the painting. While she starts that, I'm going to work with this one here. And we're going to do O scale figures to start. We may do an HO figure later if we have time. I think the O scale will be easier for you guys to see on the camera because everything is so small. I'm going to be modifying this figure. This is one of the figures out of the O gauge set. And I believe he's supposed to be a painter. He's got his paint bucket here in hand. But as I first picked him up and looked at it, I saw him sort of from this side, and it really looked like a crewman getting onto a train. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to cut this pail off of his leg here, and then we'll have a nice train crew figure coming out of that. It'll be a good example of what you can do with a very simple modification to these figures to give them a new career and a new life.
I showed him this example.
Oh, yeah, Chloe's got one of her favorite examples, which is... Gosh, just pray for me. So Chloe painted, this was one of her first figure painting attempts. And then for some reason, she got bored of him and, well, Chloe, you describe it.
So I was watching NCIS one day, right? And I was like, I want to recreate one of the scenes I saw. So I took a knife and I chopped his head off. And this is not what it looked like. I just kind of did my own thing. But you have a headless body. So if you have like a really sketchy like scene that your train's going through, just like hide him under the tarp that we showed you how to do last week. Mm-hmm. Hide him under the tarp and there you go. There's your scene right there.
Pray for me. Pray for me. All right. Let's go ahead and angle this down so you guys can see what we're doing here. And hopefully this will work and get you to the workbench. It's going to be a little harder with the camera like this for us to see comments. We will do our best to try and answer things if we see things popping up. I'm going to look and see if make sure I'm in range. So as we start this off too, Chloe, let's talk a little bit about some of the tools that we're using. Oh, yeah. Obviously, you're going to want a good assortment of paintbrushes.
Very small.
The smaller, the better. A nice pointed brush is best on this. I don't recommend the cheapy craft art paints and things like paintbrushes. You want something with a decent paintbrush here will actually help. But if we're doing the really tiny stuff, you have a couple of options. One option, you find these at most hobby shops. These are micro brushes. And you can see here's about $3 for a set of 10 of these. And they'll get in there and do real small details, which is really nice. But if you're a cheap guy like me, for about 99 cents, you can get 1,000 toothpicks. And these do wonders for painting eyes, buttons on clothing, real small details on your figures, and frankly on anything for that matter. So I always keep a box of toothpicks on hand on the workbench. They get a lot of use.
Someone said I was going to do really good during the French Revolution.
We also have a small palette here for mixing paint. The paints we're going to be using tonight are all acrylic paints, from your craft store, Walmart, etc. Really, you can use any kind of paint you'd like to on these.
We have a lot.
The finer, more quality hobby paints do give you a better result often. But for what we're doing, these cheap paints will work great, and you can get a ton of them in every color, and they're really affordable and easy to work with. And then, of course, a nice bucket of water on hand to keep things clean with.
And paper towels.
And some paper towels. You'll go through a lot of paper towels. So, as I'm going to get started here, I'm going to be taking this pail off. I'm going to use a chisel blade and then a standard number 11 blade in my hobby knife. And Chloe, while I'm hacking away at this, why don't you talk a little bit about how you paint and the order that you paint things in?
Okay, so when you're painting, you start from like the inside out, I guess. So basically what that means, you're not painting inside the figure. You start, so like, I don't know if you all can see that, but there's like layers. Like her coat is on top of her skin. So you would paint the skin first, because that way, if I was to do the coat first, and then like the coat's obviously gonna be darker than her skin tone for what I'm doing, and I messed up, it's a lot harder to fix that mistake. Also, when you are painting outwards, it's just a lot easier to get precise lines, I have found, because then the paint isn't messing it up, so you can get in the lines easier, which then makes it easier to get outside the lines. And you always want to do multiple coats, because like you can see, I started the first coat on the dog right there, and it looks really splotchy. So you're going to do multiple coats when you paint, unless you're like super skilled and can somehow avoid that.
So some good tips right there, Chloe, and thank you. Yeah, it's very similar to if you've ever done a backdrop painting, for example, starting in the rear of the scene and working towards the foreground. Same idea. It's easier to paint from back to front, so that as you layer the paints on, you actually get to see what you're painting, and you can cover up things in the background. You don't have to try and paint behind something. All right. I've just about got this guy trimmed down the way I want him. Another thing that I do like to do on these figures, I didn't really find any on the ones that we had here, but sometimes you will get a little bit of molding flash left over. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure that we're in the camera.
Yeah, you are.
So it's good to just come through and clean these up, because the last thing you want to do is get halfway through painting and then find out that you've got a big brim on a hat that's not supposed to be there or something like that. All right.
Not fun.
So I've cleaned that up, and now we've taken our painter, and he'll be ready to become a crewman. Let's go ahead and stick him on the cork. Oops. All right. As Chloe said, I'm going to start with the back and work to the front, so we'll start with some skin tone. And we mixed a little of this up beforehand. Most of the plastic figures that you get are going to be molded in some sort of a quasi-Caucasian tone like you see here on our figures. But definitely you're going to want to paint over that.
Yeah, it's pretty orange. Yeah.
Bare plastic always will end up looking like bare plastic.
It doesn't look good.
So
it also looks like super glossy, like, especially, I don't know if y'all, it doesn't really show up on camera as well as it does in person, but it looks really glossy, but when you paint over it, it makes it look matte and actually skin-like. So that's another bonus to like repainting, even if it takes more work.
Okay. We start with that. Let's do, well, my hair's turning gray. Let's go with some gray for this guy's hair too.
You'll know why yours is turning gray.
Yeah, we know why it's turning gray. My daughter's killing HO figures off.
Okay.
Believe it or not, this can actually be a relaxing pastime. To just sort of unwind a little bit while you're waiting for election results to come in, or doing something even more enjoyable. And just...
Or while watching the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Turn on the TV and get yourself some background noise. Okay, that's a little runny.
I should have made him red like Clifford.
It's like Clifford.
Kind of looks like Clifford. Oh, whoops, sorry, that wasn't a camera.
What are we doing? This is more tricky looking down here at the screen trying to
Yeah.
see if we've got questions coming in, because I'm sure there are some.
Let's see if I can find any. Oh, hello from YouTube. They asked for information on Toy Story O-Gauge.
Toy Story O-Gauge, those, I think they either just arrived or they are coming in hopefully this week, so they should be shipping out very soon. Okay. All right. Now we'll work on this undershirt here. Let's do a
I'm gonna let the audience decide what color I'm gonna paint her coat.
okay.
So you guys get to decide what color her coat is.
This is audience participation.
Yeah.
There are molded figures available, as I said, from Lionel, but also from plenty of other manufacturers as well in all of the scales. Some are more detailed than others.
I got a red. Okay.
But there's a great assortment out there, and you can often find them in larger packs, sometimes as many as 100 or more in a pack. And if you're just starting out on this, don't be afraid to try a little bit and make some mistakes. Worst case scenario, you can bury some of those people in the back of the scene and hide them from view a little bit more.
Blue, red, and green. I guess I'm doing tie-dye. Purple.
It's going to be a Technicolor Dreamcoat here by the time we're done.
I guess so.
So practice on a few. If they don't turn out the way you want, don't be afraid. You can always put them inside a building or put them inside a passenger car or put them towards the rear of a scene. Just having that detail in there and the hint of something going on is often plenty. And then, save the expense of highly detailed figures for your foreground scenes and so forth. It's amazing, even just putting a few of these in a building interior, what that can do to liven up a structure with some lights in there and so forth. We've definitely done some of that in past episodes here. We've done some interior detailing, and a simple figure or two is a great way to go. And especially there, if you're just learning, it's a great place to use it, because you really won't be able to see much of the detail that you've put on there. So why not use an inexpensive plastic figure and make the most out of your modeling budget? So as I'm working on this gentleman's shirt, I'm okay that I'm being a little sloppy. I just want to make sure that I get everything covered. I have to get a little bit more and more precise as we go along to keep it looking good. But these first couple of layers won't be nearly as critical. Once we get paint on here, we're also going to take a little bit of time at the end after you've done all of this painting. It's nice to come back through and do some of the weathering techniques that we have done on other projects, our flat carload, our building kits, and so forth. We'll do a weathering wash, a very thin weathering wash to bring out some of the details, maybe even a little bit of dry brushing on some to do some highlights as we go along. The techniques that we're doing here on this work just as well on any other small details that you might be wanting to add to your layout. So crates and tools and things like that on a loading dock scene, you name it. There's any number of small detail parts you can add to your model railroad to bring it to life, and you're going to find over and over again that those parts, which are very small, get very pricey. And if you can save a few dollars by painting them yourself, it's often a much more affordable way to go. You're looking like you're looking for something, Chloe.
Alright, we don't have any purple, so I'm going to mix red and blue to get the purple. And then someone said green, so I'll just do her purse green. But I'm trying to figure out the red and blue I want.
Okay.
I'm going to do two, because that's pretty. And red. And I need a darker blue.
Okay, so let me come back here on mine and show you in a little closer. As you can see, this guy is not going to win any modeling contest at this point for the paint job that was done on his shirt. I was not too particularly concerned with staying inside the lines. His overalls, however, are going to be a darker color, and they'll be painted over top. So that'll hide all this rough paint that you see around here. And this is going to be a midnight blue. Go with
That's a lot of blue.
Too fine with the brush.
The white.
White or
That's
off-white? Yeah.
Do you have any white?
Regular white?
Yeah. That's fine. That'll work. That's too yellow.
So Chloe, what is your favorite part of
I just
doing
like
these
how
things?
relaxing it is, and it's like really calming, and it's really fun because, like, as you see here, you get to like mix colors and like pretend you're like an artist, and I don't know, I like doing stuff like it. This is real. I love painting, so I just like painting things.
Well, you're not pretending you're an artist. You're actually...
I know, but I pretend like I'm a real artist, like a Michelangelo. There we go. But it is really relaxing, and like, I would highly recommend, like, if you're really stressed and you have the time, like, just sit down and paint. Like, turn on your favorite music and paint figures. It's fun. Yeah, that's the purple color I'm going with, y'all.
One thing to keep in mind as you paint, try and extend the life of your brush. Try to keep the paint down towards the tip of the brush. The further you get it up towards the nap of the brush there, the harder it is to keep it clean, and the stiffer things get, and so forth. So if you can keep the paint controlled towards the bottom of the brush, you'll get a lot more life out of it. And if you're doing a lot of painting like this, it's not a bad idea to invest in some decent quality paintbrushes. You don't have to get the really expensive stuff, but get yourself some decent quality small paintbrushes.
When painting small things like this, it's better to invest in the paint brushes, like the tools, rather than the paint. Like, we're using cheap paint, but we're gonna make it look so good.
For those who have bought painted figures, which I'm sure is most of us, keep in mind as you look at the price of these, you go, why are these figures so expensive to buy them painted? Well, after you've done one or two, and you understand that this is the same process that's done on the factory floor wherever they're doing it, you get a better appreciation for the reason you pay so much for a figure. And the more color and the more detail and the more steps involved in painting, obviously the more expensive and the more cost is involved. But it doesn't take long before you start to understand the economics of all of this. But if it's something that you enjoy,
go for it.
Then you can save money and have fun at the same time. All right, I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush so that we can do the suspenders here in the back of this.
You're good at download. I can't see it.
I'm going to raise the camera a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm old and my back is hurting.
Nice.
All right, raise that up just a little bit.
Okay. That's
a little bit better.
Yeah.
So now I've got a small brush and just trying to go very carefully down those suspenders on the back. I actually find it's a little easier to come in with a loaded paintbrush and try and hit it in one streak rather than multiple light coats.
Because if you do multiple light coats, then at least one of them is going to be messed up. Like, no matter how careful you are, one of them is going to be, like, just a little bit off, and then they're going to look funny.
It's almost like you've worked with me before, Chloe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I keep forgetting that I have to, like, do it in front of the camera.
It's trickier when you're trying to do it for an audience.
It is.
Okay, pretty happy with that. Let's do his hat.
I don't know how I did that headless guy so detailed.
Now, if you do make a mistake, especially with this acrylic paint, it's usually pretty easy to clean it up if you get to it relatively quickly with a little bit of a damp Q-tip or swab or toothpick.
Even if it's dried, you can take a toothpick and just scratch it off.
Usually, yep, exactly.
I usually just wait for it to dry. Because if you do like a wet Q-tip, and let's say I was trying to get like right in the crevice of that arm to fix it, all of that paint's coming off. So I would just wait for it to dry.
And if you're in a hurry or something's not drying quickly, a hair dryer makes a great tool to have on hand and helps speed the drying time between colors and coats.
Ooh. That was loud.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
What color?
You need a good color for some work boots here.
Work boots? Black.
Yeah.
Like that chocolatey black. They could be like Santa Claus's boots. That's gray.
Too gray.
Oh. No, that's brown. Black. Pure black.
Pure black it is.
Okay, that needs to dry.
Okay.
I don't know how effective this is gonna be.
Probably not very effective, dear.
That's how I dry my nails. Okay, we're just gonna wait for that to dry. And in the meantime, I'm gonna get started on a tiny one.
Okay. Yeah, that is the nice thing about doing these. You can, if you do want to do several of these in an evening, you can batch paint them. And that makes it nice so you're not constantly switching back and forth between colors of paint and so forth. As one color is drying, you can be working on the next figure. If you're using some common colors, you can paint a number of them in a layer at a time and work your way through it that way. Set up a little bit of an assembly line, and it will go a lot faster.
Why do all of these have little holes in their backs and their butts? Like, look.
Okay, good call on that. So Chloe's asking me about there's tiny holes on their backs and so forth, and that's from the ejector pins in the injection molding machine. There are pins that pop out in the tooling to push the part out of the mold, and that leaves a little bit of a mark in the plastic. And when these figures are tooled, an effort is made to try and put them in inconspicuous places. But if it bothers you, or you see them there and they're a little too visible for you, a little bit of plastic putty will fill those right in before you get going. As it typically on seated figures, we try and do it on the part of them that will be on the bench or the chair, so you don't have to see it and worry with that.
But that one's on his back.
Or their back, yep.
Can you put a pin in that so I can...
Can I put a pin in that? Absolutely.
Okay, you can show them how to do pins.
Okay, so we're going to put a pin. This is a little wash bucket here, and we're going to put a pin. This is a pretty easy one. Just drill a hole. On that one. This is a tight enough fit on the wire. I don't think I'm going to even need to glue it. Just put a little bit in there. not sure what gauge wire I'm using, to be honest with you. It's whatever I found on the workbench.
That's pretty much how it goes. Hi, all. You get to see my face. Oh, I should look for comments that I haven't been checking for.
And there we go.
Excellent show. Oh, thank you. We try. Thanks, Mom. Mom said we're both doing great.
Well, I'm glad Mom thinks you're doing a good job. That's high praise right there.
There really is. No. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got the bucket.
Got some touch-up paint, a little bit of touch-up to do here on this guy, but we're almost done with him.
You can do the tiny ones. Like the HO.
I can do the tiny ones.
Yeah.
You started on the tiny ones.
I did, and then they all had the holes, and it bothered me. And then I saw the wheelbarrow, and I thought it would be faster to get it done. So.
So what you're saying is you haven't been doing this long enough for it to teach you patience yet.
I didn't want it to take a long time for the show.
Oh, for the show.
Yeah,
for the show. Right.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that 16-year-old attention span you got there.
I have a good attention span, thank you very much. We're gonna do maple syrup. Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, the names on the craft paints are always half of the fun.
Do we have a waffle paint?
No, we don't have a waffle paint. At least not that I have found yet.
Just gonna do waffles and maple syrup. I think I'm hungry.
You just ate. You are a teenager. And mine, for that matter.
I have a... the tripod's falling.
Well, adjust it.
I just don't know how you had it set up.
Not very well, apparently.
Hang on, I gotta fix this.
Okay.
Did that mess it all up? Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep working in front of it as best you can.
Oh, no, I really messed it up.
Sorry for everyone's seasickness. Chloe's trying to adjust the camera here.
The tripod was falling, and I'm trying to fix it.
Didn't you, like, direct the show for the last month and a half?
I did, but I didn't use a tripod. I used my hands. Oh, I really screwed that up.
No, it's fine. You can see what we're doing.
They can see what you're doing. It's okay.
Well, I am the star of the show, after all.
Gee, thanks.
Not tonight, which is just fine.
Ew, that's not what I wanted. Maple syrup actually looks like maple syrup. Okay, I need a brown.
Brown? There's quite a few browns up there.
Brown. That to know. Like milk chocolate with like a hint of dark chocolate mixed in. That's maple syrup. That's no, that's not dark enough. That's too red. That's too
rich
red.
brown.
That's too red. That's redder than maple syrup was.
That looks like milk chocolate.
I said,
is that not milk chocolate?
I said
that's
a
milk
hint of dark chocolate. Here, that's dark chocolate. We're just gonna mix dark chocolate and milk chocolate. Wait, that's what this one is. Yeah.
Oh my.
I'm very particular.
We'll get you picking paint colors for our scale locomotives next.
That'd be so fun.
And they can stop yelling at me.
Can I actually do that? That'd be fun. Okay.
Okay. One more little bit of touch up on this guy and he'll be ready for a weather wash.
Bubble. I don't think she's dried now, but okay. We're just gonna
Just shaking up the paint.
that was a gross sound.
Oh, you are a 16-year-old.
which part of this one? The one that's not dried up.
All right, about happy with this guy.
Okay, this is just gonna be one color.
So here we are with a figure that's now pretty well painted. And the next step is going to be to try and blend everything together with a very light wash. This will do a couple of things. We'll add some shadow, and it will help bring out some of the finer details in the figure. And since this is a person who's working on the railroad, you know, a little bit of dirt and grime on the clothes will actually look right at home and be a good thing. So let's do that. Now, to do a weathering wash, there's a number of ways we can do that. In this case, because we really don't need a lot of coverage. Where did my black paint go? Oh. Rather than mix up a whole big thing of it, I'm actually just going to do a little bit here. I'll use a slightly larger brush, and I'm just going to put a little, that was too much, a little dab of paint down. And then wet the brush heavily so that when I touch it, I've just got a little bit of paint there.
It's mostly water.
Mostly water. And we'll just rub that all over.
Think of like a swamp water, but like black instead of green.
Mm-hmm. And as it goes on, it's going to collect around those little details. And that's exactly what we want. The folds in the clothing and so forth are going to pick that up. It's going to look a little darker when it's wet. It will dry an even softer color. It won't be that intense.
It will lighten as it dries. Oh, nose. Oh, shoot.
And I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on the face too. Some people get very involved and paint eyes and all that kind of stuff in there, and
I'm gonna do that for her.
By all means, go for it. You just want to make sure that as you're doing things like that, you find that proper balance between keeping the details, making the details there and realistic, and not overdoing them to where they look sort of cartoonish. As this dries, if the wash,
I feel like I should show them this.
If the wash doesn't look dark enough, you can always go back with another one over top of that. Do as many layers as you need. You want to show your progress there?
Yeah, okay, so I messed up on the hands and the face with the purple paint because, let's be honest, was I really being super detailed with that? No, because I know I can do this and I can fix it. So what I'm doing is what we talked about earlier. I'm just going to take the toothpick and scratch away. This is also kind of hard to do because I can't like hold everything where I need to hold it to get the right pressure. But I'm just going to scratch away the paint on the hands like that. I'm going to keep working on this off camera, but like, you get the idea. Like, it takes away some of the mistakes. And it just makes it a lot easier, and it also helps it to look way more detailed without you stressing over all the details too much. So I'm gonna continue working on this, but like off camera, so I can Dad can show you what he's doing.
So we're about finished with the wash here. I'm actually coming through with a little bit more. I'm actually going to try and just go for a little bit more of a dirty look on this gentleman, since he's been working all day on a steam train. How do I know it's a steam train? Because that's what I'm going to put him on, that's all.
Oh.
Use my figure and I'll put them on whatever train I want.
She needs to go on an Amtrak. She looks like a rich lady. Or she could stumble across him in the together scene. That'd be funny.
As I'm painting, Chloe is coming up with backstories for everybody, which is nice. Right? You're going to be the next Peyton Manning on the insurance commercials. All right, I'm going to let him dry a little bit. The washes take just a minute or two to dry, and then he'll be looking pretty good. So everything that we're doing here again tonight, no matter what scale you want to do this in, we've been using O scale figures to make it a little easier for you to see. Hopefully we've had enough of it in camera to where it's visible. It certainly looks a little easier as you're doing it up close. If you're a little harder on the vision, a small optivisor is a good tool to have to help you zoom in and magnify what you're working on. But another good rule of thumb is if you can't see it with your naked eyes, then it probably doesn't really need to be painted anyway. So don't stress out over it too much.
Stick it there, please. Okay, she came unstuck.
She came unstuck.
I'm going to do eyes really quick.
You're going to do eyes? Show them how to do
And I'm
your
going
eyes.
to do buttons.
And buttons, okay.
Yeah, I haven't done eyes before because the last figure I didn't really have eyes to paint. So this is going to be my first time doing eyes, and all 31 of you who are still here, y'all get to see it. Okay, I'm just going to get a little bit of blue paint. Maybe. Oh, whoops, sorry.
That'll be enough.
Yeah. That kind of came out really fast. I'm going to get just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit on the toothpick. Like, literally, there's like the tiniest bit. And I'm just going to go. And I'm going to right where her eyeballs are. I'm just going to put a dot. And I'm not really going to do the black, because this toothpick is like one size. And that will just cover up the blue. And while it does fit my theme for her to have black eyes, I want her to have blue eyes. Just a dot. And I'm going to go around and fix all that mess up later, because that's pretty messed up. But there you go. I will fix it, y'all. Don't worry. I'll actually probably have Dad fix it, because he has a little bit more of a steady hand. And then for the buttons, I'm going to do white buttons to match her lavender crepe. And I feel like we already had white out, but I guess we don't. So I'm just going to stick this. Nope. Okay, there's the white. I'm just going to get the white. And I don't know if y'all can see, she already has buttons, so I'm just going to paint over said buttons. And this is a little bit harder in the sticky tack because of how I have to hold her and show y'all, but, oh, okay. Alright, so now, she kind of came out stuck, but that is the buttons. And like I said, I'm going to fix that eye because it doesn't look good, but the buttons actually look really good. So, just like ignore the fact that I messed up her eye. And I'm going to go in and fix it with my toothpick. I'm going to get a clean toothpick so I can see it. And clean up right there. And I might just turn it into sunglasses, to be honest. Okay. So, that's what she looks like. And then I'm going to do her bag and her hat. But I haven't decided what colors I want to do them yet, so I'm going to go back to the bucket that I was working on until I get bored of it.
Alright, so while she's finishing up that, I'll bring this tender in here and show you how I would pose a figure like this on the layout. This is sort of what I had in mind with him as we got started, with his foot raised up like that and reaching for the grab iron. He looks like he would look right at home in a scene, posed, even if just temporarily, obviously, for a photograph on your layout at an engine service scene or something like that. Would be a great little thing. And with the wire still on the bottom of the foot, that's an easy add in and out of your scenery that you can do. So you can move your figures around and set up pictures and so forth. And that's a good run through for the night. I think we've been going for quite a while here now.
Probably.
I'm going to take a scan through and look and see if we have any questions here while we're doing this. I do want to thank everybody who's tuned in, and hopefully you're learning something from these series that we're doing. It's a lot of fun for us and a great way to get a little modeling time in, actually. To give you a look ahead over the next couple of shows and what we're planning on doing, it's getting to be about that time of year where we have model trains on the brain, and a lot of people I know are starting to get trains out of the attic or out of the basement and get ready to set up for your holiday displays. So in 2 weeks, our next Workbench Wednesday will be on the basics of care and maintenance. So lubrication, cleaning, that type of thing. Stuff to check for if you have a train that's been in storage for the last 10 months or so, maybe longer. And I think that'll be helpful for a lot of people. I know those are questions that we get an awful lot in the office and in the call center. So hopefully you'll all find that useful. Maintenance is just as much a part of the hobby as model building and operation, just as important a part. So we'll definitely be doing some covering on that. I'm going to raise this back up a little bit here.
I should this.
There we go. So we'll be doing that in 2 weeks on Wednesday. But there is a lot of great Lionel social media content coming your way between now and then. So just to give a quick rundown of some of the things coming up, on this coming Friday, we will be having a Lionel Live Friday afternoon. We'll have two of the hardest working and smartest women we've got in the office, Lauren and Sandy, will be on to talk about our personalization program and everything that goes into that from a production standpoint here in-house in North Carolina. So I think you'll all really get to enjoy that and see something that you don't normally get to see and meet some more of the team. So I hope you all will tune into that Friday afternoon.
Please tune in, y'all. Like, they're literally some of the best people I know. Like,
and then we've got on Monday, we'll have demos with Dave. He's still picking out a topic. He's leaning towards, I think, Station Sound Diners is what we talked about just before the show started. So that could be a really interesting one. Those cars do a whole lot of stuff that I'm not sure everyone realizes what a neat piece of rolling stock those are. So look for that on Monday evening. Tuesday, we'll have a special event going on as well. And then next Wednesday, we have a virtual train show. You've probably seen that advertised on our Facebook channel as well. That'll be simulcast on Facebook and YouTube. And since it's train show season and we can't get out to all of you, we're going to do a train show in the office. And I'll have myself there. Megan and Megan will be on as well, all talking about product lines, and the whole gamut of things that we have in stock and ready to go for you this season. So hopefully it's the next best thing to being able to get out and see us in person. So definitely tune into that next Wednesday. Lots of things coming up and lots of reasons to tune in. So definitely stick around, stay on the channel. We've got a very busy fall ahead of us. After we do our maintenance and cleaning show next week, in December, we have another special thing coming up here on Workbench Wednesday. We're going to do a build-along project. And we'll have some more details about that for you in 2 weeks. But our hope is that you'll build a project along with us, and we each try our own ways to customize it, make it our own, and then share our results back and forth on social media and have a much more interactive and fun time with it. So we'll be doing that in the month of December. So very much looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a real winner. Chloe, you want to show off your
Finished
latest
my
finished
bucket
cart?
die.
All right.
It's got a blue broom handle, the bright yellow broom, and then the bucket is brown. So I'm going to finish her up really quick.
All right. Well, I want to thank again everybody for joining in. Thank you, Chloe, for all of your help and your artistic abilities. And it's the best part of this hobby is being able to share it with people that you love and care about. So especially kids like this, good kids like this. So thank you all for tuning in. Stick around and see us on all of our other events coming up. And hope everybody has a great and magical train and holiday season ahead. Thank you all, and good night.